Spoiler, Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. Feudal Japan, Fantasyland. A hard-working peasant girl by the name of Suki becomes a maid for Lady Satomi, the Emperor's favorite concubine. On her way to record her, Suki has a small chat with this nobleman named Taiyo Daisuke who's charming, but they technically aren't allowed to talk with each other because of feudalism, but then they go about their day. Turns out Lady Satomi is just completely abusive to Suki and ends up feeding her to a bunch of demons that she summoned, and now Suki is dead. Who cares about her though? She's dead. Let's move on to our more important and very much alive protagonist, Yumeko. Yumeko lives in a temple full of monks that's fairly isolated from the outside world. Yumeko is a half kitsune, meaning she's half fox, half human. In Japanese mythology, kitsune are a type of yokai, a spirit that isn't exactly mortal but is essentially a magical animal. Since Yumeko is only half fox, she can only do fox magic, which is mostly just illusionary stuff, if she has access to plants, leaves, and whatnot. She also has to hide the fact that she's half kitsune from most people because humans don't like yokai because they may trick them. Meanwhile, our second protagonist, Kage Tatsumi, is stealthily invading a temple to kill a big spider woman because he's the strongest shinobi in the Shadow Clan and wields a sword called Kamigoroshi, or Godslayer. He screws up and almost dies, so he uses the evil demon Hakaimono that is embedded in his sword. This allows him to win, but the problem is that Hakaimono is one of the most powerful demons in hell, and he does not like being trapped in a sword, so he uses every chance he possibly can to try and get Tatsumi to succumb to madness and allow him to break free. But Tatsumi can't do that because it would bring chaos and destruction across the land, so he has to be an emotionless husk. But he's also canonically handsome, so he ends up being a 14-year-old girl's dream anime boy. Anyway, he's employed by Lady Hanshu to retrieve a piece of a scroll that, when put together, can grant the holder one wish. The piece in question is currently being held at the temple that Yumeko is at. Speaking of, Yumeko is currently tasked with lighting a bunch of candles in a hall one by one. She gets bored and says, "Fuck this, I'm a fox, I have magic," and uses her magic to light all the candles at once. But she can only light the candles with foxfire, so the flames are all blue, which the monks of the temple won't like. She hides and flees the temple to avoid punishment and bumps into the raccoon dog grandma lady Tanuki Baba, and then they go into her little home area in the forest and have some tea. Meanwhile, Tatsumi is going to the temple and gets attacked by Amajaku, who are little goblin demons. Tatsumi kills them and finds the temple to be on fire. Yumeko is leaving the forest from her nice little tea break to the inferno, and has to sneak past all the Amajaku to get inside the temple. And Oni, or a huge f***ing demon, is trying to claw the temple to death but is stopped by monk magic. Yumeko enters the temple and the head monk, Master Isao, gives her the scroll piece and says, "You have to take the scroll to a different temple. I don't know where it is or if it's even real, but I do know a guy who does, so go talk to him about it. He's in the capital." Why me though? I literally have no outside world experience. Well, actually, when you showed up on our doorstep, there was a note that said, "This baby will save the world one day, so you have to now, you have no choice." So then Yumeko escapes the temple and bumps into Tatsumi. He kills more Manjaku, and then they both agree to help each other get to the other temple because Yumeko needs to get the scroll part there, and Tatsumi thinks that's where the scroll part is. Meanwhile, Suki's a ghost. She spectates Lady Satomi talking to demons that she summoned to attack the temple. She finds out that it's in tow by a half kitsune and a demon slayer, so she sends out some people to get the scroll from them. A party of two travel to this town where Yumeko runs off and gets attacked by Kamaitachi, a weasel yokai that travel through the wind. They're led by a wind witch named Kazakira, who knows about the scroll, but then someone named Seigetsu comes by and scares them off because he's a powerful and stuff, and he tells Yumeko that Kamaitachi always come in threes, and the wind witch only has two. Tatsumi and Yumeko then travel through a forest with a sleeping giant demon bear, so they have to tread quietly. But then Kazakira shows up and deliberately wakes the bear to kill them, but then Tatsumi kills it, and Yumeko finds out that the third Kamaitachi is being held captive by Kazakira, so she frees it and they kill her. That night, a group of Kodama, which are kame or lesser gods, who rule over the forest, thank and bless Tatsumi for killing the giant bear because its presence was screwing up the forest ecosystem. The next day, they go to a town and bump into this guy Okame, who's a ronin, a former samurai who no longer has a master and is now morally bankrupt because he didn't kill himself. Apparently, feudalism around here is built right into the soul and the psyche. Anyway, they engage in chatter and banter, and Yumeko gives Okame a coin because she has too many morals. They embark on their ways, but in the middle of the forest, they're ambushed by a merry band of bandits, and Okame's there too. The lead guy says, "Okay, we take money, we kill guy, I rape girl." Suddenly, Okame has morals. Wait, you said we'd only be doing that first thing. I f***ing lied, bitch. Ha 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 ha. Now Okame's on the protagonist's side, and they kill all the bandits, but now Okame is wounded. Yumeko insists that they should help Okame because she still has too many morals. They go back to the bandits' old base and sleep there for the night. While there, a friendly yokai comes by and tells Tatsumi that people know about the scroll. Anyway, come dawn, Yumeko and Tatsumi are on their way, but then Okame catches up out of nowhere and says, "I'm coming with you. I know the best way to the capital here, but let me lead you." Then he does, and then they get lost in the mountains. Come dusk, and they finally find a village they can rest in. Normally, remote villages like this are timid among their population, but this one was abnormally generous. They gave way too much food to the gang, and Yumeko and Tatsumi got suspicious, while Okame was enthused because he's a clueless drunkard. They get to the guest house and start settling down, but Yumeko and Tatsumi notice that there's a graveyard behind the house. They talk about how weird the situation is and how Yumeko saw a monk that was actually a ghost. They conclude that nothing worth concern will happen because ghosts are mostly harmless. Anyway, they go to sleep, but Tatsumi has a mental breakdown and goes out for some fresh air to see that there are a bunch of ghosts. But not just any ghosts, ones that are, in fact, not harmless. Tatsumi fights them off with the help of the now awoken Yumeko and Okame, and they march down to the mayor's house to see what the hell is up. The mayor says, "Please, I'm sorry, a monk put a curse on us like a century and a half ago. It's still happening, we need to protect ourselves, I'm sorry." Then Yumeko says, "Okay, I can talk to ghosts, I'll tell them to stop." They fight through more evil ghosts, and eventually Yumeko confronts the monk ghost. "Hey, can you lift the curse?" "Oh no, I forgot, it's been too long." Then the mayor runs up and is like, "Hey, can you lift the curse? Here's a bowl of rice." "Oh, this is just what I wanted. Okay, I'll lift the curse." Now the curse is lifted and they can move on with their journey. Now they're in a different town and they're hearing rumors about this guy called the Demon Prince who duels people to the death on a bridge and has not lost once. On their way to the capital, they notice that there's dead crows watching them, which is unnerving because that means someone with blood magic is following them. Anyway, they reach the bridge and what do you know, it's the Demon Prince and he wants to duel Tatsumi. And just as they're about to duel, they're attacked by by a gigantic f***ing centipede, an omukade. They all had to work together to kill it, and eventually they did, and the Demon Prince was like, okay, let's duel now, but Yumeko convinces him to postpone it on the condition that he travels with them to do it later. Turns out the Demon Prince is actually Taiyo Daisuke, a nobleman from the Taiyo family, which is a royal family from the Sun Clan. This effectively means he has full access to most of the stuff around the capital, so he's a useful asset to the mission. They get to the capital and go to the shrine where the guy with the MacGuffin supposedly is, to find out that he's actually not there. His name is Master Jiro, and he went missing 3 days ago after being called upon by Lady Satomi. They come up with a plan to sneak into a party that the Emperor is throwing for other wealthy elites that Lady Satomi will be attending. They disguise Yumeko as an Onmyoji as sort of magic fortune teller. Okami will be your samurai escort, the head shrine maiden Rika will be there too with one of the menacing shrine guardians, a cute little dog named Chu. Tatsumi will hide in the shadows because he's a shinobi, and Daisuke will smuggle them all in. They go into the party and Yumeko has to tell the Emperor's future because nothing is ever easy. Yumeko is not an Onmyoji, but she does have fox magic, so she pretends to tell the future and everyone's pleased. Except Lady Satomi, who's a blood mage and knows about their secret plot. They tell her to take them to where Jiro is, and she leads them to a dark warehouse with a mirror that she uses blood magic on to turn into a portal that takes them to the other side of the continent. Now the gang is in an apocalyptically abandoned city, and they follow the ghost of Suki, who's there now, to the castle where Jiro is. They enter the castle and are met by Yaburama, the Oni that attacked the temple earlier, as well as a horde of Amanjaku. Yaburama doesn't care about the scroll and really just wants to kill Tatsumi, so he, Okame, and Daisuke fight him while Yumeko, Reika, and Chu go find Jiro. After many a fight featuring fox magic and Chu momentarily turning into a buff anthropomorphic dog, they find Jiro chained up next to the second shrine guardian who went looking for him earlier and didn't leave when he found him. Meanwhile, Okame and Daisuke are incapacitated and Yaburama wants to kill Tatsumi, so he does. Now Tatsumi's f***ing dead, and uh-oh, guess who's free from his sword prison? It's Hakai Mono. He kills Yaburama because how dare he think he's any better than him, and turns to find the other half of the gang here, now including Master Jiro. Fun fact, while this was all happening, Yumeko's veil of humanity is now faded and everyone can now see she's half Kitsune. Tatsumi's soul is still inside of Hakai Mono and he uses this fact to taunt Yumeko. Anyway, he flies away instead of killing them for some reason and they regroup to find out what to do next. Cut away to Lady Satomi's quarters where she's reveling in her plan. Then Seigetsu steps in. Remember him? He was mentioned like once before several chapters ago. He kills Lady Satomi on the spot and then Suki's soul can finally move on. That's the end of Shadow with a Fox. If you were expecting a better resolution, then boo-hoo, this is one novel in a series and I'm probably not going to make another one of these videos. Bye.